Good morning from the library. And I have some good news for those of you who may call me on Saturday nights and say, are we having church? Yes, we are going to have our first open service on the 21st of June, that is Father's Day, and it will be at 9 a.m. Now, don't call me that you don't like the time. This is a session's decision. It may or may not be permanent, but for those of us who are planning, and trying to get the summer going and open up a worship service, you will receive in your newsletter all the rules of what we must do in worship. So I hope to either see you or kind of see you with your mask on, and we're going to try to blend library reflection in the sanctuary, so it will be sanctuary reflection time, and there will be live singing by our paid soloists. So I hope to see you there. This morning's reflection, I am not using the Protestant lectionary, but the lectionary for the Roman Catholic Gospel lesson that will include everybody's favorite verse, John 3:16. But I have been thinking this week, what happens when dreams meet reality? Judy Garland in The Wizard of Oz croons out that famous song, "Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare dream really come true." And I suspect the times in which we are living right now feel like somebody has awakened us from a dream, crying, "Dreamer, awake." And through sleep-filled eyes, we open them and we wonder, what in the world is happening? We might even get up and the first words of our mouth, "Gosh, I can remember when." And perhaps you may think of this time, behind every good dream there looms some kind of nightmare. In my lifetime, I cannot remember this country being so divided. As a matter of fact, from an historical perspective, I don't think we've been so divided since the days of Lincoln and the Southern secession from the Union. Some have said, "I'm living in a movie," or "I'm living out a bad dream." And it is so odd as you watch what's going on in the demonstrations, which often turn to riots and violence and looting. Riots with masks on. Looting in bandanas. A virus that few understand, if any understand it at all. news reports. The news reports have their own political spin and agenda pushing them. The other day I picked up my old guitar and was singing the Judy Garland song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which, by the way, is truly a nightmare when I'm doing it. There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. And the quips that come out of when dreams meet reality. The best laid plans of mice and men. If anything can go wrong with a plan, it will. And one of my favorites, a new one to me, when we plan, God laughs. And certainly the axiom by which a wise people live, the only constant in life is change. Oh, I don't like that word, change. The older I get, the less I like change. And when our dreams meet reality, it sends us scurrying for some good news. And some are glad to tell us that good news will come. The economy is going to come back. Summer's going to kill the virus. Now is the time for the change in socio-political, economic order of things. But history testifies that changes to systems are incapable of bringing about a utopia. And oftentimes the attempt to change to a utopia causes more dystopia in the present system we have. And history will verify that no matter what socio-political, economic system we have, those who have the power will lord it over those who do not have as much power. So I would put to you today, I have some good news. And the good news is John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever should believe in him might have eternal life. Now, I'm going to do something that I usually don't do, is more of a verse by verse kind of translation, transliteration from the original Greek, so we can get a hold of not only this verse, but the verses that follow. God so loved the world, the word being agape for love here. Cosmos is the whole world, not just part of it, the whole universe. That everyone who believes in Jesus, this word believe, it's not for John an intellectual affirmation that something is true. It involves something much greater than that. The Marine Corps has a motto, Semper Fidelis, and that literally means always faithful. Now, you ask a Marine, they'll say Semper Fi. That's an abbreviation for always faithful. Once a Marine, always a Marine. They never leave anyone behind on the battlefield. Well, the context of believing this is not an intellectual assent that God sent Jesus. Yes, he's the Son of God, and then I go on about my business. But it is giving one's life like kneeling before a king and taking the oath of fidelity, the oath of faithfulness. I am your servant. They will not perish. And for John, that means they will not die in a greater sense than biological death. They will have eternal life. Now, that is a tricky word. That is a word, eternal life. Not eternal bios, but eternal zoe, abundant life. And it is something that starts right in the present and continues on. It's not about only an afterlife. It's about living life to its fullest, in spite of what's going on in the world. Now, verse 17 says, "Indeed, God did not send the Son into the world to condemn the world." This is a legal term, condemn in the Greek. It is the passing of judgment and sentence. That's not why Jesus came. And it says, but God sent Jesus in order that the world might be saved. This Greek word, saved, can also be translated healed or made whole. We hear so many times, have you been saved? My friends, I have to answer only for myself. I am in the process of being made whole. It is a lifetime process. So those in verse 18 who believe in him are not condemned. Now here comes the sticky wicket. But those who do not believe are condemned already. And this is the judgment, that the light is come into the world and people loved darkness rather than the light. That word darkness is a fascinating word. skotos in Greek, which is not only darkness, but blindness. Blindness regarding the things of the divine. People love the blindness, self-imposed blindness. And they didn't want the light to come because their deeds were evil. And that word evil can also be translated diseased. You see the relationship between disease, wholeness, blindness? This gracious act of God was to deliver us from a diseased way of life. The blindness to the things of God. John's always talking about Jesus as the revelation of what God is like and what God's love is like. Now, I just wanted to run through some of that. This is good news, a mighty act of God, revealing who God is. But we have a problem. And that problem is once God does this act in human history, that the Word is made flesh, the light has come into the world. Here's the problem. You can come to the light and see who you really are. And like a great parent, you say, Dad, Mom, God, I really don't like the way I'm living my life. Good call, son. Good call, daughter. Let me show you a different way, if you're willing. Good news, bad news. You have to make that choice. Because it comes into the world, there is now choice. And some do not want to know who they really are. The darkness, the blindness has become the new normal, and frankly saying, historically, that's the old normal. And they run from the light. And in some strange way, they think, I can hold on to this, but if I do some nice things over here, it'll make up for the things that are blind or dark. It's an old saying back where I came from. I imagine Bob, coming from Iowa, knows this. You can put a dress on a pig, put lipstick on a pig, you can put eyelashes on a pig and mascara, and you still got yourself a pig. All that window dressing doesn't change us. There is only one healing, and that is to come to God and recognize that we, even though we are loved, and because we are loved, we can own our lives for what they are. Broken, but loved. Lord, heal us. When I was a boy, I've always loved Christmas. I was about 9 years old, and my grandmother always sent the best Christmas present. My grandmother on my father's side. Seemed they had a little more money than the grandmother on my mother's side. And it always arrived and it was always gift wrapped. And it would be put under the Christmas tree where the slow collection of gifts would pile up. And always on my grandmother's gift wrap paper present, it says, "Do not open until Christmas." It infuriated me. I wanted to open it so bad I could just taste it. I was so excited. I wanted it now. So, my parents were out on the 23rd of December. The present was under the tree. And so I turned off the lights in the living room and turned on the Christmas tree lights so nobody would see me. And carefully picked up my grandmother's present, and there it was, "Do not open till Christmas." And slowly but surely took the tape off, trying not to tear the paper, the wrapping paper. And took the peek. And then wrapped it back up. Now, I'm not a very good wrapper, and it was quite apparent on Christmas morning. Some little rat had been gnawing at the Christmas paper. But I say this to tell you, this is the good news. And in a sense, we should be so excited that we can't wait to open it. Can't wait. And the great news in God's kingdom is not that Christmas comes only once a year, but Christmas is every day. I hope that you have a very safe and blessed week. And remember, the 21st, unless you hear from us that we've changed the date, hopefully we're going to go ahead and try it out. I would encourage you at 9 a.m. to meet in the sanctuary. Take out your little rules that I sent to you in the newsletter. And I will tell you, I felt like Moses writing Leviticus when I was listing all those do's and don'ts, and I apologize for that, but it's for our safety. And May the peace of God that passes all understanding keep your minds and hearts on Jesus, who is the Christ, and continue to hope for the salvation of the world.